Hi, thanks for joining. My name's Brett Johnson. I look after Surface across policing. To my right I have
Richard Warren. I am the technical lead for Surface devices aligned to police forces.
And what we're going to be doing now is giving you a whistle-stop tour of the Surface devices that we have as of May 2021. And it's quite nice to be back into the office and actually working with someone, so it's wonderful to be able to be doing this. So, why are we here specifically? This guy, Laptop 4. This is my latest device that I picked up last week. Interestingly enough, this is the AMD R5 variant. More on that moment from Richard. But what we have here is the Laptop 4. Again, exactly the same size and form factor as the Laptop 3. It's the internals that Rich will go through that are slightly different. On the left-hand side, usual suspects, USB-A, USB-C and headphone jack. On the other side, we have the Surface Connect dock. And that's the same across the entire range. What we have here is essentially one of the hero SKUs of Surface across policing. Reason being, and then what we look at here is the black version of, this is actually a Laptop 3, and we do have Laptop 4 in black, also sandstone, blue, 13.5 and 15 inch. But one of the reasons it's a hero SKU is simply because of the fact that once we've taken the rubber feet off and the screws, we undo those. We've then got a magnetized keyboard that will come off just like that, which then will give us the capability of data retention from a hard drive point of view, which is fantastic. And data retention is true. We're moving the hard drive from all of the devices that we're going to go through this morning. So Laptop 4, absolutely gorgeous device. Anybody that sees this just falls in love with it. Absolutely awesome. But why, Richard? What's inside it?
So what we've done with the Laptop 4 is that, as Brett mentioned, we've implemented something called silicon diversity. So you've got a choice of two different processors. Okay, you can either go down the Intel path. Now that's a quad-core processor. We're using an 11th gen, so really does pack a punch. And that's very good for number crunching, big spreadsheets, and big compute-intensive tasks. The other alternative is that we have the Ryzen processor from AMD available across both the 13 and the 15 inch, and that is the R5 or the R7, okay, giving us very good performance. But the real difference there is that the R5, a 6-core, the R7 is an octa-core and an 8-core, so our multitasking significantly faster on those devices.
Brilliant. Now this is, it really is truly a gorgeous device. This is the Alcantara version. Again, we've got metal keyboards across the SKU as well. And again, 13 and 15 inch variants. Lovely device.
We also look at all-day battery life on all of our devices. And in fact, we also implement fast charge. So fast charge available on everything we're showing you today. Basically, we'll give you an 80% battery charge in less than an hour.
So, first clamshell that we've spoken about, Laptop 4. Our second clamshell here is the Laptop Go. Slightly smaller in form factor, so 12.1 across the diagonal. And what we have here is an incredibly durable, again, beautiful device. You can probably see on the underside, actually, this is actually manufactured from a sustainable, recyclable material, which really does give it a tremendous durable feel. One of my go-to devices as it goes. One of the key differences, I guess, from the Laptop Go, its bigger brother, is the fact that we have a fingerprint reader that we can then use to log in once it recognizes it. And yeah, it really is a great device. Rich?
So on these, we're actually using the 10th generation Intel processor. Now we only have Intel on the Laptop Go, but that 10th generation processor was basically the processor we were using in the Surface Laptop 3. So again, you can imagine that is packing an absolute punch from a performance perspective.
Yeah, it gives us a real interesting choice with regard to the portfolio now, with regard to clamshell devices. Now, interestingly, we also now have, if you weren't aware, the USB-C personal adapter. So this then gives you an Ethernet port, HDMI, VGA, USB, and USB-C. So it's something great to just chuck in your bag and to have on your person if you need those connectivity options, in addition to what we've got on the devices. So great for that. Just to give you a pre-up as well, with regard to another video that Rich and I will do on Agile Working, we now have the Surface Duo that is released into the UK market, which is the fully foldable device, and we'll go more of that in the next video. Next guy I wanted to talk to you about is the Surface Pro 7. So in my experiences across policing, this has kind of been the form factor that people have kind of associated with Surface. Here we have a removable keyboard, we have a 2-in-1 functionality, we can put this into a case, UAG Mobile works, others are available. But this guy was recently revised just after Christmas and really does provide you with a very lightweight, agile device that is simply fantastic. Rich, what do we need to know?
So again, this is using the same 11th generation Intel processor. We only use Intel on the Surface Pro range. This is the same 11th generation processor that we've seen and discussed in the Laptop 4, the same fast charging, okay, all of those same features that we'd expect. But we have also added on some of the i5 variants the option of LTE using a very high-speed Qualcomm LTE chip.
Brill. And then again, just very easy connectivity at the back just to pop the hard drive out. You just plug it, put in a little pin and that will expose it, and we've got the data retention there. Brilliant. And again, hero SKU across policing. Now, the next device I want to just show you isn't necessarily something that I would proactively talk about. And the reason being, perhaps policing in the past hasn't necessarily been where we need this to be with regards to the Microsoft Intune and Autopilot journey that is required for this device to be cloud managed. So this guy is the Microsoft Surface Pro X. This is actually V1. There is a V2. It's very similar in form factor to the Pro 7 Plus, but there are some key differences that we'll talk about. So the first one is that from a keyboard point of view, we actually have a space here for the magnetic charge for the pen that lives in there and hides away, which is absolutely awesome. It's the bezels, which we'll see in a second, are incredibly small, but it really does give you that amazing experience. Very lightweight, very thin, very powerful device that you can just stick in your bag. And now that we're being agile again and being able to get around the country, perhaps, provide you with a really neat device. What do we need to know?
So from this, we've got two processor variants. They're both called SQ chips. That stands for Surface Qualcomm, because these have been designed specifically by Microsoft and Qualcomm for these devices. The SQ1 and the SQ2, the SQ1 around about an i5 performance, and the SQ2 around about an i7 performance. There's a couple of special bits on here. Because it is a Qualcomm processor, the LTE is absolutely seamless. So migrating from Wi-Fi to LTE and back again as and when needed. From a user perspective, you probably don't even know that that's happened. You're just maintaining connectivity. We've also worked heavily with Qualcomm to design an AI coprocessor for this device. So effectively, we now offload our artificial intelligence components away from the CPU. So things like Teams background blur and Teams backgrounds, again, are not increasing the CPU usage on these devices.
Brilliant. And you know what, from a cloud managed point of view, because a number of forces are now at that place, this becomes a real viable alternative, or in addition to the Pro 7 Plus that we've just been talking about. Again, wonderful device, and you can see that the bezels make this look really smart. Black and platinum versions too, if you require it. So we've talked about this guy before, but it's definitely worth just bringing up to date as to where we're at. So here we have the Surface Go 2. This one is actually in a UAG case. There's a pen attached here. We've taken the keyboard off because we wanted to talk about some of the use cases actually that some of the forces are using this with. One example is with regards to custody suites and being able to use the camera, walk up to a QR code, and then actually use the pen in order to sign off and check who's in there and just make sure that everything is as it should be. But no, it really is a very agile, robust, certainly in the case as well, device that gives us a really nice alternative to things. Rich, what do we need to know?
So unlike most other devices at that sort of price point and that sort of size, they tend to be Android or iOS devices, which means that you're using, or there is some level of compromise with the software that you're using. One of the things that we're finding most important about the Go is that it is a full-blown Intel processor with full-blown Windows. Yeah. So there is no compromise on device management or on the applications or the data access that you're using.
Brilliant. So just to complete the story, what I want to talk about actually is some of the accessories. You probably noticed these behind us. But what we have now is a whole raft of portfolio of accessories. You can see a bunch here that are on the screen at the moment, but there is some recent announcements I wanted to make you aware of that you may want to consider moving forward. So the first one is around the USB headset. There's two variants, one wired, one not. Incredibly aggressive pricing, right? And actually when we think about changing devices and device upgrades, etc., you may want to consider adding some of these accessories into the bag that gets given out. Surface headphones, we talked about, these are the two, which is great. The Plus means that these are Teams certified. And that's the same across the entire range that you're looking at here. And of course, from an agile working, there'll be the expectation perhaps of being able to go to the office or the station, as well as working from home. And you really want to have a high quality headset that gives you that great Teams experience. Webcam, Rich.
So the webcam, obviously all of our Surface devices come with cameras built in, which could be used for hello or of course used for video conferencing. But of course, a lot of people are now working from home, they're plugging into external monitors, and there's nothing more jarring than having the camera on your laptop screen, but actually the Teams meeting on the secondary monitor. So having the option of an external Surface webcam, again, very, very useful.
Yeah, great flexibility. And then the last element to complete the picture is the USB-C speaker. And again, another great addition to the portfolio, allowing you to have a speaker that you can just throw into your bag or actually have on your desk working from home, depending on the environment that you're in, or indeed actually in meeting rooms when we're back in the office. It gives you that flexibility. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of exciting accessories that we will have just in the next couple of months or so. Not all of these have released just yet, but we wanted to make sure that you were aware of them. So just to complete the picture then, what we're looking at is the entire Surface portfolio family. We've spoken about the hero SKUs that we have and are having great conversations with and successes across policing. It's been really great to have some real good examples of where Surface is proving to be incredibly valuable. What we can do obviously is loan you devices if that's something that you'll be interested in, if you haven't seen or played with them. For those forces that have invested in the Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 as part of your NEP journey, the Surface rebates that we can help you with, as well as actually investment into helping make this work and get deployed out across all of your users. So, anything else from you?
I think that's everything.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for listening.
Thank you.